Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. My name is Damaging Don Moses, and with me, as always, is the enigmatic Josh Mysterios. Josh Mysterios, we'll go with Josh Mysterios. We have yet another
Serious?
banger of a podcast for you as we cover Friday Night SmackDown for 11/22. Let's go.
All right. Josh Stereos. And what was it? Don Moses?
Damaging Don Moses.
Damaging Don Moses. I like it. All right. Well, SmackDown starts out showing us what we all came to see, which is some more bloodline activity. It begins with Solo Sikoa making his way to the ring with the, I guess, new bloodline. And he starts out telling Salt Lake City to acknowledge him. And then he goes on saying how they're only a week away from War Games and him and his crew are ready to dominate, baby. And he goes on to say, you know who's not ready? Roman Reigns. And you know how he knows he's not ready? Because he's not even there at the show yet. So he goes on to say that when he does get there, he's going to need Roman to meet him in the middle of the ring before the end of the night, and he's going to need him to accept terms of surrender, and after surrendering, him and his crew can finally acknowledge him.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
Like at this point, does anybody think, other than Solo, that Roman is going to acknowledge him? I don't think so.
No. Hey, ain't gonna happen.
And I'm kind of thinking, like, if that's your message for Roman Reigns, and he ain't there yet, who are you talking to?
I guess
So-
maybe he's assuming that Roman is, while being transported to Smookdoon, he is also watching it. Why is everybody showing up to work late? That's what I want to know.
That's a good
That's
question.
my question.
I guess Roman shows up when he feels like showing up.
How you gonna be the head of the table and be late? Come on, you be on time. Everybody waiting on you. I'm just saying,
Indeed.
nobody shows up on time. Sometimes Solo be getting it late as hell, so I don't know. But the cameraman always catch him. You late, but the cameraman always know you coming.
That's true.
Cap. All right,
Cap.
so
Well, that leads us, after Solo's announcement, that leads us into the first match, which is Bianca Belair versus Blair Davenport versus Chelsea Green in a first-round match in the WWE Women's United States Championship Tournament. And I know going into this match, I was just looking at it, and I'm like, man, it's like, there's no offense to Blair Davenport and Chelsea Green, but like, there's no way they're beating Bianca Belair here unless like it's through shenanigans.
Yeah.
So I kind of went in going, oh, Bianca.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I don't think Bianca needs to be in this match. That doesn't seem very fair.
Yeah.
And that kind of sorted itself out. This was a pretty decent match. It told a really cool story. Davenport didn't suck as much as I thought, but you know, she did suck. No, I'm kidding. Bianca Belair, of course, looked good for the time that she was there, but the storyline was such that they called her. She ended up seeing Jade Cargill getting wrecked, pun intended. She was on the hood of a car, and basically she was like her imprint was in the hood of this car. So I don't know if they were trying to tell us that she got hit by a car, or if they were trying to tell us that she got pushed from a very high distance, or from a very from a great height on top of the car. But it looked more closely related to that. So she's just laying like she could be a chalk outline on the hood of this car. And Bianca sees
Yeah.
this on the Titantron, and she's torn for a little bit about whether or not she should stay in the match or if she should go out or go back there. And ultimately, she decides to run out backstage and find out what happened to Jade. So that pretty much takes her out of the match, and leaves Davenport and Chelsea Green. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, my voice is going out. I'm sorry for that. Anyway, um, forgive me. Don't hang up. But anyway, Chelsea Green and Davenport are left, and it looks as if Davenport is going to get it, but that doesn't happen. I'm happy to say. I'm very happy to say. I can't remember exactly. Hold on, because let me use my stoner brain. Um, and go back. So because Chelsea wasn't even in the ring, I think it was. I think at the time the only person that was in the ring
Was Davenport.
was Davenport. Yeah, she was sprawled out. And then while outside on the apron there, Bianca noticed the Titantron and then she bolted. Or she noticed it originally while she was in the ring and ended up getting out and running. And I think Chelsea was already outside of the ring. So, you know, that got taken. She wasn't in there either. But as soon as Bianca took out running, they go back and Chelsea comes sliding back into the ring. Um, and I'm trying to remember what I know she ended up doing the unprettier.
Yeah.
Because I
You
remember.
got it.
I remember, yes. Davenport was going for the Falcon Arrow, but Green landed on her feet. Like Chelsea landed on her feet and then she was in the right spot to do the unprettier.
And boy,
And I
did she.
and she unprettied the hell out of her.
She unprettied the hell out of her. I will say this. Chelsea Green's unprettier where she jumps and then lands in a huge sit out with them
Yeah.
looks vastly more prejudicial than just a regular unprettier. No offense to
Yeah.
Christian Cage.
No, her unprettier looks like it does the job. Looks like it does just that.
Yup.
Um and she won to the shock and joy of the audience because they were very happy about her winning. There were even some Chelsea chants there.
Chance. Yeah, Chelsea chance.
Uh,
Go figure.
yeah, for a little bit, So I was like, oh snap, she's getting her comeuppance finally in WWE. I think she deserves it. And she's one of those ladies that's like a workhorse. She puts in the work. She puts in the grime, the grime of the grind. She does the time. So I think she's deserving of those cheers. Um, for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not sure what her odds are of winning the US championship are,
Yeah,
but at least she moved on past the first round.
yeah,
So I'm curious to see. I mean, the US title should theoretically be kind of a mid card title. So
yeah,
that's why you were saying, like, why is Belair even in here, right? Because she's a
yeah,
heavyweight title contender.
yeah,
So I agree, and I think it's good that someone in the mid card is actually moving forward in the mid card title.
yeah,
Although this does offer up like who laid out Jade. To me, it looked like Jade might have been choke slammed or power bombed because like the way the car was parked just ahead of like the concrete walkway for the
yeah,
parking garage. made it look like somebody could have easily yeeted her or pushed her or even slammed her from that concrete walkway onto the hood of the car. And you're not lying when you say it looks like there should have been a chalk outline. Like she was indented into the
Seriously.
hood. So it was like,
Yeah.
wow. So
Like
somebody,
that was a
and I'm
special
like,
made hood.
well, who could, right? Who could do
Mm,
that to someone like Jade? Now, there's lots of potential culprits, like on X after the fact, like Trinity Fatu, aka Naomi, was saying, "Hey, I didn't do it," and I'm thinking, I don't think you did it because you're not big enough to slam Jade Cargill that hard into the hood of a car. Um,
yeah.
but you got to think like who benefits, right? And there's only a couple of women that come to mind. One, if you're a member of the opposing War Games team, then you stand to benefit from taking Jade Cargill out of the picture. So it could have been Nia Jax or maybe even Raquel Rodriguez. Like she has the strength to do it. I just don't know if she's, you know, would.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. She could.
attacks in the back are kind of like Liv Morgan and Raquel's MO at this point, right? That's how they got
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Ripley. So it's quite possible that it was Raquel and Liv. It's quite possible that it was Nia Jax. She's got the size to do something like that to Jade. Um, Another person that could benefit from it would have been Bailey. The thing is, I'm not sure if Bailey has the size to do it, potentially. But that would get her into the women's War Games match. And another thing to consider is that Jade Cargill is going to be out indefinitely at this point and will lose her spot in the US women's title match. So it's like, well, who would benefit from that? Well, obviously somebody that wants that spot or wanted Jade out, which who would want Jade out of the US title spot? Maybe Bianca? Hmm?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then why would she risk her US title spot to go check on her, which she did? So maybe
Yeah.
not Bianca. So I know when we watched this, I made my prediction that it might be someone like Lash Legend.
Yeah.
And based on the scuttlebutt that I'm hearing on the internet, the rumor mill, it's looking like Lash Legend is going to be the one to replace her in the US women's title spot. Um, so it's possible that
The
Lash
plot
Legend was feeling
thickens.
froggy.
Yeah. Possibly.
So right at the moment, I think Lash Legend is our most likely culprit. And I hate to
Yeah.
say it because, like, I'm a big fan of Lash Legend. She's amazing. Um, but she's the one who stands to benefit, and Key Bono is the first place you start with these investigations. Who benefits?
Yeah.
So, second after Lash Legend, I would say Raquel and Liv.
Yeah. Probably Raquel. Um. I mean, it could have even been Tiffany. Who knows? I don't know if she could have gotten her in a choke slam, but she could have gotten her off of that. She could have knocked her onto the top of that car pretty easily. So
Yeah. Well,
perhaps
I'm
it
trying to. Sorry, go ahead.
no, perhaps it was her.
Perhaps. But like I said, she looked imprinted into that hood, right? Like more
Yeah.
than just a simple fall would get you. So I'm thinking there was some prejudice on this, which leads me to think Tejana bomb or choke slam. And if it's a Tejana bomb, well, obviously Raquel is responsible for that.
Yeah.
And if it was a choke slam, we know Lash Legend likes that move and can pull it off.
Yeah. True. True. But we shall see. Good little bit of storytelling there. The plot thickens.
Indeed. And
Yeah.
so the winner, as you stated, of that match was Chelsea Green via pinfall. Now, following that up, we are taken to a scene where Bianca Belair is in the back and a whole crowd of people are standing in front of a ambulance. And presumably Cargill has been loaded in there. We didn't get to see that, but we're told that she's in there. And Bianca is distraught, asking Nick Aldis what had happened to Jade Cargill. He's all like, "We don't know, but we're looking into it." And there was an interaction. I think Bailey tried to say something, reassuring, but I remember Bianca snapped at her like, she's my partner. I'll worry about her. I'm gonna go with her. You back the fuck up. Because it was a very strong response from Bianca. Like clearly there's bad blood still there, but at least on Bianca's end with regards to Bailey and whether she can be trusted. So it makes me think that Bianca's going to suspect Bailey straight out the gate.
Yeah.
But then we have Bianca hop into the ambulance and drive away, presumably to the nearest local medical facility.
Now, after that, we kind of got right into the like LA Knight, like his music cuts, and he's coming out to the ring, and he has a match with Santos Escobar. I believe this is for the WWE United States Championship. Um, but it was kind of weird because while he was coming out, like he's out there. Santos is out there. The match is about to start, but then a promo cuts for Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, the
Basically,
lights went dim.
yeah. Like basically, there's like a message to LA Knight. Um, and guys, I'm gonna be dead ass. I'm not gonna read. I'm not gonna recap what he said. If you've seen him talking about any person since he's had this change, think about before he left, before he disappeared from WWE, when he was going against Cody Rhodes. Just pick a person he was going against at that time. Think about the promo cut where he said like one sentence in English and then the rest of it was in Japanese, and it looked basically like an anime or comic book. And he talked about how he knew all about the person and he knows what the person is afraid of, and he knows their weakness, and he knows that they're riddled with insecurities, and he's gonna exploit that. And this is the beginning of the end. Basically, listen, I'm not looking at anything right now. I'm not taking notes. I'm not reading anything when I say that I guarantee you that's you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's pretty much the promo that he interrupted the match for. That's it. Um there is not, but like the only thing different I think is his outfit and his makeup. He pretty much has the same MO that he had before he went away. Maybe he's
Yeah.
maybe they're trying to say that he's slightly more dark, slightly more, unhinged, but it looks and feels the same to me. It looks like he never left.
Yeah,
And we'll get sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that that I feel roughly similar to you. After Shinsuke being off TV for so long, and then when he appeared and he looked very different, more dark, and his makeup is more like he's some sort of Oni or ghost.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. But then you're right. They hit this video package, and I was like, man, this is almost like cookie cutter template, the exact same promo
The
style as
same
before he
thing.
went.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The problem is that before he left, like we thought this promo style feels very samey, like especially
Hmm.
because they did it several times with regards to like, remember Seth Rollins' like broken lower back, which came into
Yeah.
existence just for his Shinsuke Nakamura stuff. And then the same with Cody Rhodes. And it just starts to feel like I'm watching the exact same promo, just insert whoever Shinsuke is happening to be going against.
Because you are. Because you are. And
And
he
so,
says pretty much the same thing in each one. And I'm gonna tell you,
yeah,
that's cool. Cool story, bro. But if you're still coming into the ring with the same lame ass matches that you were giving us before you left, then can just turn right back around. Like I gives a damn about your promos. If you're gonna get into the ring with somebody and almost damn near injure them because you look sloppy, because you are not focused, because whatever the case, if that's what you're planning on doing, then I'm not interested. So,
yeah.
this isn't a good start. The promos being
No.
exactly the same ain't a
Well,
good
because
start.
it makes me think that despite the fact we're hopeful that he's getting a repackage because I mean, just for context, he was not looking good against Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins. Like
No.
that's why I figured he was off TV is that he wasn't looking good. And if he's just going to come back and be in that same state, but now with like a new outfit and makeup, that's too superficial of a character change. It's still going to be a problem.
Yeah,
Now, I
exactly.
haven't seen him fully in the ring other than like to kind of interrupt stuff so far, so who
Yeah,
knows?
that
But
concerns me as well.
watching this promo didn't make me think like it's like when they wanted to tell us that like, oh, this is a different Asuka, and it's like all she did was add like one move to her like strike combo. Like it's not that different. You're saying it is, but you're not showing me anything all that different. And I fear that we might be in for that with Shinsuke Nakamura, at least after watching this promo.
And here and
So
here's why I'm so hard on WWE about this. Because if you are honestly getting rid of talent because of money, whatever the case, if you are really trimming the roster, right? Then Shinsuke, in my opinion, should have been gone a long time ago. If you're cutting people, if you're cutting men, like you guys know what I'm about to say, Baron Corbin, right? If you're cutting dudes like that, but you're still giving wrestlers who have damn near injured your superstars. You're still giving them play. And I listen, contracts be damned. I understand. If he has a contract, that's cool. Uh, and as long as you honor the contract, that's cool too. But what I'm not understanding is why you're still giving this guy an opportunity to get in the ring with superstars, big name wrestlers, but then you fire someone like Baron Corbin who dedicated most of his career to kitten mitten every single competitor you put him in the ring with. He made it look brutal, but he
yeah,
was one of the most trusted guys in the ring for you. But you let him
no,
go.
yeah, I fully agree with you. He was a guy that could get almost any character, no matter how ridiculous, somewhat over, and in fact
Meanwhile,
was halted if he was getting too over.
yeah,
And then, like again, I only have the last bit of work from Shinsuke on my mind, and his
yep,
work with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, like your two of your very tip top guys,
yeah,
couldn't make it look good. And
yeah.
so,
He had not only that, but he had the match that he had with Cody, and I think I've said this in one of our earlier podcasts. When at some point we mentioned Shinsuke Nakamura, but my man did a move to Cody that could have ended Cody's career. It was so sloppy. Um, and they put him in the ring not once but twice.
yeah. So I won't know for certain, and I don't mean to doom and gloom Shinsuke overly much, but I am suspicious. My hackles are raised
I
that
am.
this is a very superficial change. Well,
Yeah,
what I'm saying is I won't know for certain until we see him in the ring for a match, right?
yeah,
Um, but that's really what needs to change the most. Was the last time we saw his in ring work? It was not. It ranged from unimpressive to bad,
yeah.
and so
Too
I'm really
dangerous.
yeah to dangerous, right? And so I'm really hoping that whatever that was is past if you're bringing him back now. Like
Yeah,
maybe he's done enough dark matches that you were like, "Oh, okay, I think he can come back." Um
yeah,
so I'll reserve my judgment. I am suspicious based on what I'm seeing so far, but I will reserve my final judgment for when I see him in the ring a few times.
yeah. Yeah, I'll hold it, but I mean, it's already not looking too good. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be watching his first match squinty eyed. Like I'm gonna
Very
be
close. Yeah.
watching this dude like a hawk because so far just not impressed. Not impressed. And I that's I used to love me some Shinsuke Nakamura. Like honestly, that
Yeah.
I used to feel him. I used to feel him big times. But after those last two or three matches with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, it just kind of turned me off to the whole thing.
Yep.
To
It
the
it
whole
was a
shtick that he
sad
was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I
I
mean,
was
when he was first cutting those promos, we were like, "Oh, okay, this is cool. This is cool." But then we noticed that that was the promo. That was it. It was
Yeah,
just that. Like it was cool the first time, but then it just the
yeah,
second time we're like, "Oh, okay,
and I
yeah,
mean, we have so many other foreign competitors that haven't been here as long that are really trying their asses off to cut their promos in English.
yeah,
So that also makes it seem a little sloppy,
yeah,
or a little maybe that there's not as much effort going into it as it should be. But then you
yeah,
couple that with the fact that like those last sets of matches between Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, again, these are WWE's top guys. These are the guys that if you can't have a good match with them, you can't have a good match with anyone.
yeah,
Um, and that was the problem. Shinsuke did not have good matches with these men. And as you said, in some circumstances, he looked so sloppy that someone was at risk of injury, either himself or his opponent. And
yeah,
again, these are your golden guys. Like Seth Rollins is legend, and Cody
yeah."
Rhodes is your literal golden boy.
Yeah, and
Um,
I remember when you and I watched I think it was the first match that he did the crazy move to Cody Rhodes. Or he he wasn't selling any of Cody's moves on him. When Cody did the oh God, the his
Crossroads.
yeah, when he did the crossroads, the fall that Shinsuke gave, Shinsuke could have injured himself at that point. Like, cause I mean, he it wasn't flat. He was bending at the knee, if you remember.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was just weird and awkward. And he did a move to Cody that was just weird and awkward, where he could have
Yeah.
legit injured this guy. And I remember after that match talking to you, and I was furious because I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" The
Yeah.
stuff that they let that dude do to Cody in the ring. When he went backstage, he would have been fired immediately. I would have been livid if that were my
No, and
if,
it's
if that were my promotion. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That's my top guy right there. That's my
well,
meal ticket
and
that you
I
just fucking
mean,
tried to break.
yeah, I don't know if it's a problem with his motivation or if he was like, I don't know any of that stuff, but I do know that if you're getting put in a match with Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins, this is your time to shine. Like, this is
Yes.
when you should be looking the best you have ever looked because these are the top of the fucking iceberg, right?
Yes.
Like this
Yeah,
this is the top of the
absolutely.
mountain. So if you're going to look bad in matches with their best guys, then I mean, why? Why would I mess with you? If
Yeah.
if your matches are going to go over like a wet fart because they're just not that good when we've put in our top talent. If anything, instead of bringing you up, that's actually pulling the equity down off of Seth and Cody, and it's like that's the last thing you freaking want.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm like I said, I'm hoping things have improved, which is why he was maybe off TV and now he's back. I've got to figure there's a reason for that. So
Yeah.
maybe they have some ideas of what to do with him, and he'll look better in the ring. But like, if you're not gonna, it really was damaging those last sets of matches, of my opinion of Shinsuke and his in ring work. And I honestly thought maybe this
Yeah.
guy is ready to retire. So if they're
Yep.
bringing him back, I'm hoping that it's gonna be good. Is all I've got.
Yeah. I agree. Um, but I digress. As I was saying, the second match, LA Knight versus Santos Escobar. Um,
Escobar.
yeah. Listen,
Or as he prefers now, Escobar. See,
that's right. Escobar. See.
see.
Yeah. This was a pretty good match. I have to say, whenever I see matches like this, still, I don't think that it's going to be a match where the champion is going to lose their belt. Um, so I mean, it should be no real surprise that he did not. Because I mean, we're talking about WWE. Okay, I know that one time Uso won the belt. I know, but I don't think that's something that we can consider a normality. That's not something that's going to happen all the time.
No,
So you know, but this match was good. And it's going to lead me to yet another Shinsuke Nakamura rant, guys. I'm sorry, but before I do want to say that I'm happy to say that Santos Escobar did the move that I wanted to say my entire life on mic. He did the slingshot pescado. Thank you.
The
Thank you,
slingshotto.
Escobar. Thank you. I have you have no idea. I did not know that I wanted to call ever a move called the slingshot pescado. I did not know that I wanted to until I heard it. So for that, I thank you, Santos Escobar. I know that's weird. I don't care. Thank you, slingshot pescado. Come on, slingshot. Come on. I'm. You know, I want a move now called the slingshot pollo. The slingshot gato. That's what I want. That's
I mean,
amazing.
it's all you need.
The slingshot queso. Spicy queso. All right. Um no, this was a fun match. Escobar looked good in a lot of places, and so did LA Knight. Again, if you guys want the names, I know Slingshot Pescado. That's what I got for you. Okay. Um, but if you
That's
want
the
the
move.
names and whatnot, you know who to talk to. Josh Stereos. He's got you. But I'm talking right now, and I'm saying that they did good, and they were very nice young men, and there were lots of flying off the ropes, and that was also good.
Indeed. There were some highlights,
Yeah,
including the
seriously.
slingshot Pescado. Escobar looked very good, and so did
Yeah,
LA Knight in this one. During the first half of the match, it's basically Escobar pretty much
yeah,
takes it to Knight immediately because as we stated before, like Knight's intro was kind of interrupted by that promo from Shinsuke, and so
yeah.
Escobar runs towards Knight, kind of near the end of the promo and attacks him before the bell rings, and then like the ref separates him, he rings the bell, and Escobar just stays on Knight
Immediately. Yeah.
so you had the slingshot pescado. We must
Hmm.
say that a lot. We also got a slingshot senton, which looked very good from the apron into the ring.
Hmm.
And so, like I said, for the first half of this match, it was an Escobar show. But there was a point where Knight was able to turn it around on him. I think it came at a point where Knight had gotten thrown out of the ring and was trying to get back in the ring, and let's see. Escobar, I think, tried to kick him down. Um, but LA Knight ends up hitting him with that slingshot shoulder tackle, which that's a good one for him. Like he
It
really
is.
makes that
Yeah.
one look good.
Yep. Yep.
I think other big guys that have done that move and made it look good are like Sheamus and John Cena. Um, but yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one for LA Knight. He's added some high flying to his repertoire, and
He
that's not
has.
bad. And it's not the kind
Uh-uh.
of high flying that I would be like, wow, this dude who looks like he's training for like the Olympia should not be doing. These are good moves.
Yeah.
Um, and then I want to say, Knight hits him with a flurry of those left jabs that he likes doing, and then drilled him with a discus lariat.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then Knight hit him with a leaping neck breaker, another one that he does that looks really just
It looks.
nasty.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
does. It
it looks
does.
like he's given the RKO to the back of someone's head. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I
Um,
honestly, I that's probably my favoriteest move that he does now. Is the leaping net breaker because he makes it look good. It looks, it looks painful.
yep. And then as we head towards the end of the match, I agree with you, by the way,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. As we head into the nearing the end of the match, there's a point where Escobar, I think, gets Knight up on the top or seated on the top rope, and then follows him up, and Knight ends up they're kind of going back and forth, and then LA Knight headbutts Escobar, which you don't see him do too often, but I guess it's a pretty standard way to get somebody off you when you're on the top like that.
Hmm.
And that sends Escobar to the canvas, and we're like, oh, here it comes. He's gonna do LA Knight, yeah, and then do a backward
Hmm.
leap to the top rope for the megastar elbow. And we almost got there. I think we got to the LA Knight But before he gets to yeah, he gets distracted by Shinsuke Nakamura, who has stepped out onto the walkway from the entrance ramp. And that little bit of a distraction is enough for Escobar to kind of stun Knight back up on the top turnbuckle, and then he goes up for a top rope Frankensteiner and hits it. And then with LA Knight on the ground, Escobar ascends to the top rope and drills him with an absolutely fantastic looking frog splash. But instead of going for the cover, he wants to make sure, so he ends up lifting LA Knight up and wants to hit him with the Phantom Driver. But LA Knight slides off his shoulders back on his feet and connects for a like just out of nowhere BFT that was awesome.
Yeah.
And he gets the 1, 2, 3. But much like the previous match where Nakamura made his presence known for the first time since he's his comeback, after the match, Nakamura attacks Knight and repeatedly drives him shoulder first into the steel ring post. And then after, I think the third one, LA Knight is sort of laying slumped with his face on the second turnbuckle. And Nakamura just plasters him with what looks like either just a running knee or a Kinshasa, I'm not sure, to the back of Knight's neck. And I'm like, well, that's how you kill somebody. Because it kind of looked like a curb stomp to the middle turnbuckle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that looked pretty ferocious, but that's 2 for 2 that Nakamura has gotten the jump on LA Knight. I guess we know who LA Knight's next feud is going to be with for that U.S. title.
Yeah.
But that said, Escobar and LA Knight put on a really good match here.
They did.
Solid. So, and LA Knight picks up the victory with an out of nowhere BFT, which was also very cool.
Now here's my little brief re-rant about Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, I'm not really sure what his point is. I understand that he wants to take him out, but like most people, whenever you're having a match with somebody for the belt, and or somebody that you want the belt, but they're in a match currently with someone else for the belt, I'm the heel. I'm gonna interrupt the match. I'm gonna destroy both of them. I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take them out. I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna come out and then wait for you to finish the match. And good job, you won. And then go in for the attack. I'm gonna devastate the whole playing field because, damn it, it's my turn. And that's what I thought he was gonna do. Instead, he just kind of let LA Knight know that he was there politely. And then just wait his turn. So for me, that just didn't kind of like if you were trying to say that he was the like Shinsuke Nakamura is coming in and he is the problem, then you go in and you say no match, screw this, nobody wins. I don't care. Ring that bell. I'm kicking your ass. I'm kicking your ass. That's my belt. But they chose not to do so. And that kind of just took the wind out of my sails there. So, like, I'm already starting this grudge between the two on a somewhat low note because I just don't feel the grudge. I feel like this is just another manufactured Nakamura person to like something for Nakamura to do. That's what it feels like.
Well,
and it still does not feel like the true heat that LA Knight needs for his belt run.
Well, I think they're trying to build heat for it. Just to argue from a different perspective, I think it might have been smart actually that he didn't interrupt the match because now,
then have a three-way. Yeah.
Well, and there's no leg to stand on for Escobar to go. Yeah, I want the rematch. I don't know why he talks like that now.
Oh my god.
But there's no leg for him to stand on in terms of wanting a rematch. Like, he can't go, well, I would have won if Shinsuke Nakamura hadn't interfered. Now it's settled. Like, you got beat clean and solidly by LA Knight, so you can go. You're done, And so in that regard, it's probably smarter. that he didn't, because then you would have like this three-way dance, or Escobar coming back going, hey, my opportunity was spoiled by Shinsuke Nakamura. And I don't think that's what they're trying to do with it, because that would be a repeat of what they just did with Andrade and Carmelo.
Yeah.
So this way, it's a very focused attack specifically on LA Knight. Like, he's got his sights set on LA Knight. Now, as far as like, a weird out of nowhere heat, I don't disagree. Like, it's like, anybody else could have just gone, hey, I want a shot at that belt, and that could have been that, but Shinsuke has somehow developed this personal grudge against LA Knight for reasons. So, maybe that's just Shinsuke's approach. He's like, I'm not just going to defeat you, I'm going to destroy you. So, but I'm kind of glad he didn't interrupt him, because that would give Escobar, like, reasonably, like, I know it's all kayfabe, I know it's booked, but then we'd be going, like, where'd Escobar go? Like,
No, you're
why
right.
isn't
You're
he
right.
complaining that his one shot at this title was thwarted and he demands another one?
You're right. He'll probably still use Shinsuke for a rematch. He'll probably still. Now, see, that if that still goes that route, then I'm going to be annoyed that he interrupted, or that he didn't interrupt the match. If at a later date that Santos comes up and he's upset because Shinsuke came out there and ruined his chance, if that's his argument and they end up in a 3-man match anyway, then I'm going to be like, well, what was the point of him just letting that match happen then?
Yeah, and that would be valid, to
At
say,
that
because
point.
it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what? Because then it doesn't even make sense. It just makes Escobar look like he's unhinged.
Yeah. All right.
Which I
I'll
guess
give
if
it
you're
to,
going for,
yeah,
um,
I guess. Yeah.
yeah. But I don't think it would be good to do that again. Like, they
I
rely
agree.
so heavily on, like, oh, and now it's a triple threat. Like, we already criticized them for, like, the longest route possibly taken to have a triple threat again so soon. So if they go for a triple threat at this point, it's like, come on, man, surely you've got some angles you can go in that are different than that. So I'm really hoping they're not looking for a triple threat, that they just want LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
So, but
We
moving
Chelsea.
moving on from there, we are taken to the back where we see the Motor City Machine Guns. I'm sorry, the Motor Gun City Machines
There you go.
are not happy that Tommaso Ciampa stuck his nose in their business, and they're sitting there negotiating or arguing with Johnny Gargano, who says, Ciampa just wants a shot at the tag titles, and Chris Sabin of the Machine City Motor Guns goes on to say that while he might understand Gargano's frustrations, he really thinks that it's the Street Profits that deserve the opportunity. And I'm like, I'm right there with you, man. Like, so you're going to
Yeah.
reward somebody for, being a dick? And it's like, well, it worked for Bronson Reed, but I see that Chris Sabin is a little smarter than that, to not want to be like, oh, yeah, here, let me give you exactly what you want for completely ruining our match with the Street Profits. And
Yeah.
is like, nope. And then the Street Profits show up, and they more or less say that, Ciampa is a snake that hides behind the grass, which seemed a weird way to just say a snake in the grass, but that's what they said. So, and that ends that promo with them. We're next taken again backstage with Nick Aldis asking Nia if she knows what happened to Jade Cargill, and Nia is just completely flabbergasted by the question. Plus, Nia would rather take her out during War Games. She was, but she's currently helping Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae prepare for their match, and she decides to walk away. At which point, Nick catches sight of Cody Rhodes and runs towards him in the back. And Cody, he's like, Cody, what are you doing? And Cody's like, heading towards the ring. He hasn't heard from Kevin Owens. And Nick says, well, not to disappoint you, but I don't think he's here tonight. And Cody says, look, I know Kevin Owens. He wouldn't miss this. I'm not falling for that. And so we've got Cody Rhodes heading to the ring, but they cut away from that to go back to the OG Bloodlines locker room, And Sami Zayn is expressing, that they're out of options. They don't know who else to ask, and even the wise man wasn't answering. And Jey Uso mentions Cody Rhodes, and Jimmy says he's down with it, but Roman doesn't want to team with Cody or Seth because they're old news. He even goes on to say he doesn't even think they need a fifth member at all. Roman says they got all they need, and that if they die at War Games or tonight, they die together. And so the rest of his crew goes, well, so what's the plan? And Roman pauses for a moment and he says, I don't know. And that's where they leave that.
Yeah.
And then, if you would like, we have a return to Cody Rhodes, who is heading to the ring.
Yeah. So Cody Rhodes gets to the ring, and essentially he's calling for Kevin Owens to come out. He reminds people that Randy Orton isn't there. He knows for a fact that Randy's not there. But he knows that Kevin is there, and he just basically tells him come out to the damn ring. Don't keep me here waiting. Let's go. So finally we hear Kevin Owens call Cody's name. And he he had like, so okay, basically let me just say he comes out and he says that he's a little insulted because he was summoned to be there for SmackDown because the great Cody Rhodes wanted him there, and you can't deny Cody Rhodes' request. And so he steps out and he says, "Here I am, dressed to the nines, and is like in my best attire." And he pointed out that, however, Cody wasn't wearing his stupid sleazy politician suit, and that he deserves a little bit better than that. And which he wasn't. He was wearing some hood, I'm ready to fight type gear, but not wrestling gear.
Yeah, but it had like a little bow tie and suit kind of painted on it.
Oh no, not Kevin. I'm talking about Cody. So I was saying Cody wasn't really
yeah.
dressed in his suit. He was wearing some fighting gear. Kevin, however, was wearing a little T-shirt that you guys know, the shirt where it looks like a tuxedo on the front of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a T-shirt. He was wearing that, so he was dressed to the nines, according to him. And so, he mentions, so I got summoned, and Cody says, yes, you were summoned here, but not to stand in the crowd, because that's where he was. He's like, you were summoned to come stand in this ring right now. And and Kevin's like, yeah, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And he basically says, you're probably not used to this anymore, but you don't get what you want just because you want it. And then he asks him, what are you gonna do? You think you're gonna jump? You think I'm gonna jump just because Cody Rhodes says jump? Nope. I'm here. You're there. That's good enough for now. And then he says to Cody, let me ask you this. I see you're all rolled up. You want to fight, right? That's what you said last week. You want to fight me. Before we do that, why don't you tell me what has you so upset? Because what happened over the last few months, what happened to you, what I did to you, what happened to Randy Orton, it's your fault. And Cody says, it's my fault. It's my fault that you pile drived Randy Orton. And Kevin Owens repeats that it is his fault. And then he explains why. Because for 4 years, he fought the bloodline every week, blood, sweat, and tears. He fought them all. And they tried to end Kevin's career. More specifically, the guy who led the group, Roman Reigns, tried to end his career more times than he can count. And he never could, and he never will. Okay? But he kept fighting. And even before Cody came back. But then he comes back and he says, what happened? I stood by you. I fought alongside you. I fought them alongside you. I was in the ring at WrestleMania 39 trying to help you win the WWE title. I was in the ring at WrestleMania 40 after you won the title to celebrate with you. As happy as I could be because you finished your story. And then what happened? A few months after that, Roman Reigns needs a partner because he's pissed off everyone that's around him. And who says yes? You. You teamed with the guy who tried to end my career, that tried to take away the one thing that that I've loved since I was 11. He tried to take away his livelihood, and Cody teamed up with him. So yeah, everything that's happened is Cody's fault, according to Kevin. And Cody says, "All right, enough. That's enough of that. You want to justify your actions. You want to justify what you've done. Because I teamed with Roman Reigns. Cool. You can believe that. But let me call this for what it actually is." And he says him teaming with Roman had nothing to do with Kevin. He asked me, and I thought it was the right thing. But that doesn't jive with who Kevin Owens is, because to you, you have to be the victim. So he's calling basically Kevin out for his victimhood or whatever. Um, uh, he has to have the whole world against him. It has to be Kevin Owens versus the universe, I suppose. And the story of Kevin Owens has to be that he's being held down. But then he says to Kevin, nobody is holding Kevin down more than Kevin Owens. He self sabotages this himself, and it's like it's on a whole nother level. He's obsessed with the idea of being the face of WWE. He's fixated with being the number one guy, not knowing the whole damn thing's a team effort in the first place. And what he doesn't realize, according to Cody, uh, is that while he's obsessing and fixating over that, he's been synonymous with WWE for a decade. He mentions that Kevin has every accolade. He's a Grand Slam champion. He's the best. He's one of the best superstars in recent memory, and everybody knows it. Everybody but Kevin. And you want to talk about self-sabotage? He says, the last time they had a match against each other at Bash of Berlin, he couldn't pull the trigger. Kevin, he's referring to Kevin. You didn't pull the trigger, or he didn't pull the trigger when it was his knee, because he could have power bombed him on the ring apron, and maybe he would be standing there with all of his dreams becoming true. He would be the WWE champion. And Cody says, "You blame me for that." And you finally did, though, right, Kevin? You finally did pull the trigger, just on the wrong guy. So he's mentioning that he finally did do the pop driver. He just did it to Randy Orton. And he points out that Randy Orton is a legend. And he was Kevin's friend. And he didn't deserve what Kevin did to him. He didn't just bring back a move that's ended lives. He broke him in half. My God,
He's dead.
He's dead. Yeah, but he basically brought back a horrible move. And this lesson, it's not going to be handled with a mere microphone. It's not going to be done with the promo. He's going to have to beat it into Kevin. So he tells him, whether it's, in Salt Lake City, because there was plenty of show left, or whether it's in his home country at Survivor Series, or whether it's at Saturday night's main event, it's coming. So basically, he says to Kevin, that ass whipping is coming. Like, and I just want you to know, the ball is. I don't know why the ball is in his court, because he's already said he's gonna whip his ass. He just, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And Kevin, in response to that, says, "Yeah, you'll get your match, but you'll get it when I say it's happening." And then the audience starts to boo extra loud, and he goes, "Well, it's definitely not happening tonight. Good job." But just remember that when it happens, he's doing his job. He's doing what he was asked to do, and he doesn't have to worry about him pulling the trigger this time, because if he crossed the line with Randy Orton, yeah, okay, sure, he loved Randy Orton. He hates Cody. So it's gonna be It's going that ass whooping. That ass whooping is a coming. And Kevin says, I don't care. Fuck you. I hate you. Um, I'm summing it up for you guys. Um, and then Cody says, Kevin, I don't think you hate me. I think you hate yourself. Whoa, mic drop. And now I know the length you're willing to go. So, in a sense, we're in agreement. Because whenever you decide it's time to jump, whenever you do decide that we have this match, just know there's not a single line I won't cross either.
Pile drivers match
poke,
coming up.
Poke. Yeah, so Pile Drive versus Pile Drive. Yeah, so I'm here for it. To continue his rowdiness, Cody is backstage walking like a cartoon Warner Brothers dog in a Tom and Jerry cartoon. He's big time dummy stupid mad, and he overheard Carmelo Hayes saying that it's about time somebody called him out. And Melo says that Kevin Owens is telling the truth. And Cody gets into a shoving contest with Melo. Melo is like, bruh. And then Nick Aldis gets in between both of them. Cody pile drives Nick Aldis. I'm kidding.
That would have been awesome.
No, Cody looked at Nick and basically said, Carmelo Hayes is a mistake and it's your fault, you fucking prick. But you know, he fucking goes off on him. He says it's
they
time
really
for you.
did go like TV 14.
Yeah, man, they ain't playing no more. You can say the F word at least once. No. Cody says it is time for Nick Aldis to reevaluate his first round draft pick, referring to, of course, Carmelo Hayes, who's just like, what? I'm just saying. Yo, what's going on? Y'all want to go big? Just say that.
I think he's right. I think Carmelo said, well, then reevaluate it to Cody. Like, bring it.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of, and I mean, they had a good match at first, or when he first came to the main roster. So I don't mind them running it back. Give Cody something to do that ain't Bloodline related.
Remix.
Yeah, please give him something to do. And then that leads us to our third match of the night. The least anticipated match for me. And I'm sorry, it just was. I love Bayley. I love Naomi. I'm a little concerned about Bayley's in-ring performance as of late, but I still enjoy watching both of these ladies. Naomi is probably one of my favorites female wrestlers in WWE right now. Nobody is ever gonna top Rhea Ripley for me. Sorry. But this was a match: Bayley and Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae. I feel like Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano, unfortunately, people like that. And kind of sort of Motor City. I'm sorry, guys. I'm waiting for Motor City to actually give me something that I feel super impressed about. I feel like they just kind of came in and are just kind of get pushed into like a huge storyline, and I'm just waiting to really dig them because they haven't done anything bad in the ring. It's just I don't know them, right? So I kind of got to get used to these dudes. I'm just not there with them yet. I don't know nothing about them. I look at them and I feel almost as if they're a hindrance for teams that I know getting the belt. Like, I honestly feel Street Profits should have had these belts a long time ago. And I almost feel a little disgruntled. I feel a little miffed that they brought in a brand new tag team instead of giving those belts to groups like the Street Profits. So it's kind of hard for me to really get in the groove with those dudes. But I feel like so I have to put them in this statement. But I feel like wrestlers like Candice LeRae and Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, I'm sorry, Ciampa, just for this particular scenario, these small, like, wrestlers that really have kind of vanilla personalities. Like nothing stands out about Candice LeRae, and I understand that she's trying. Okay, I'm not saying that she isn't. She's doing her very best, I'm sure, but it's just she's not appealing to me. I don't get happy when I see her come into the ring. The stuff that she does in the ring is stuff that I would expect someone of her size and stature to do. It's going to be a whole bunch of like little kicks and jumps and flips and other shit that doesn't look very impressive when you weigh 80 pounds. So I'm not super excited whenever I see her come out to the ring. And for good reason. Because in this particular match, there wasn't. Let me just think here. I mean, I didn't hate the match. All right, I'll say that much. Um, but it was really one of those matches that happened so that we could move or progress the storyline a little bit more to basically build some more heat for war games.
War games. Yep.
Yeah. So that's the kind of match this was. So Candice LeRae didn't really contribute much. But I mean, there wasn't really much to the match itself. It was kind of
Yep.
and maybe you could explain it a little bit better with the moves and whatnot. But I mean, basically, there wasn't that much of a match. As a matter of fact, I think there was a disqualification. Because I think Nia Jax eventually. Let's see.
Just overtly interferes.
Yeah. So she just think she went after Naomi. And that forced a disqualification. And then but that I mean that was the whole point, because after that, like, Jax just continued to throw Naomi into the steel ring steps. And then Stratton and LeRae gang up on Bailey. Io Sky comes running out after that, and Sky uses Stratton's legs as a weapon. She does a thing where she swings a leg and kicks, uses that leg to kick the other person in the face. She drops Stratton with the spinning back fist. Jax then attacks Io Sky from behind. Sky does a roundhouse kick, and then a springboard missile drop kick. And then Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez join into the fray, so they join in. And shortly after that, Rhea Ripley comes in and attacks everybody with a kendo stick.
And Rhea Ripley comes in and attacks everybody with a kendo stick, but with a really cool black over the bone face mask that looks rad.
Yeah, she came in with a really cool looking black mask. And I'm like, oh, this is all for the mask. She came out with the kendo stick and a mask, and she beat the stuffing out of everybody, and she ran the heel team out of the ring, and then assisted the faces by helping them up, and they stood tall, and that was pretty much it. So I mean, there wasn't really a match there.
Think, if I remember when we were watching it, one of the things you said to me of that match is that this just felt like it was a lengthier promo for the War Games thing.
Yeah.
Like the match didn't really serve a purpose in terms of being a match in and of itself. I mean, it didn't go on for very long. And ultimately, Nia Jax, I want to say Bailey was trying to get the tag to Naomi, and she was finally going to when Nia Jax pulls Naomi off the apron, which the ref sees, and he's like, "You're not in this match." Like, if it had been one of the other team members, that would have been one thing, but Jax just completely pulls Naomi off the apron, which kills Bailey's ability to make the tag. The ref sees it, calls it a DQ. And then that, like you said, is when she starts throwing her into the ring steps, and then we get into the brawl.
Yeah.
So this match really felt like it only existed as kind of a different way, other than cutting a promo in the ring, for them to get to this point where you've got the women of the War Games fighting it out.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have a problem with that if that weren't just about the third time they've done that, just in match form. And now they're gonna have to do it at least one more time because they still have another Friday Night SmackDown before War Games. So,
Well, and if we're using the booking method that we have noticed is like whoever ends up on the last promo before the pay-per-view usually ends up down at the pay-per-view. If
yeah,
we go with it as it looks now, then Team Ripley is definitely I don't know if these are the team breakdowns like who the captain is, but I'm gonna say Team Ripley for the good guys and Team Nia Jax for the bad
mhm.
guys. I'm sure Liv Morgan's like, no, it's Team Liv. Nah, Nia
No,
Jax
no, it's
outweighs
Nia
both you
Jax.
and your henchwoman, so it's Team Nia Jax.
Yeah, it's Team Nia Jax.
Um, so it's looking like Team Ripley is not going to win versus Team Nia
Yeah,
if that holds true. I mean, we'll have to see after, like you said, the next upcoming Friday Night SmackDown. But
yeah.
you know,
Well, I mean,
whenever the
yeah,
heroes are looking too good or they're winning in these altercations, it usually means they're not going to win at the pay per view.
yeah. Now, if I had to guess, then that mean if I had to guess, then they've probably already recorded SmackDown the same night as the SmackDown we're talking about. But if they didn't, if they haven't done it that way, then my prediction is that whenever we see the ladies for War Games again, the heel team is gonna be up. They would have to be, unless we're gonna go like freaking 3 weeks in a row with the face team just whipping their asses. In which case the face team is gonna lose so hard for War Games. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna lose so hard if we're doing it that way.
Well, and it's looking like by default now, since Jade Cargill is out, then the logical woman to fill her place at this point is going to be Bailey.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's how we're going to get to this idea that Bailey is responsible for Jade, and that's going to cause tensions between Naomi and Bailey. I'm sorry, not Naomi. Bianca and Bailey. And then Naomi's going to be like, "You guys stop. We're in this together," and they're just not
Yeah.
going to be able to let it go. And that's what makes me. That also makes me think that they're setting the stage for disunity in the good guy team, which will maybe open it up for Nia. I'm beginning to think for women's war games, it's looking like bad guys up, like the heels are taking it.
Yeah. Mayhaps. Mayhaps. We shall see. The other thing about WWE is they're kind of a little more uh just naturally up on their faces. So there could be a show, there could be an event where nothing moves and all the faces win, or nothing moves and all the heels. They kind of don't do like heel here, face here, heel. They kind of a lot of times go this show is going to be the heel show. Heels are going to win here. Kind of like what AEW just did for their Full Gear
We'll talk about that
show.
more later.
Of course. But I mean kind of like that. Where they pick a side and they just kind of stay there. And I thought it's usually like summer game or SummerSlam where it's usually the heel show. I think it's SummerSlam. I might be wrong, guys. Um, but I don't know. It's not looking good for the ladies. I mean, we're enjoying it, right? The fans are enjoying it, but it's not looking too good for the ladies come War Games. I think like you're saying, they might be down. Even if the next time we see the ladies, the heels are up. It
Yeah.
might be the heels continue to be up. I think.
Well, also keep in mind that the Elimination Chamber and Royal Rumble that are still coming are all in service for building the massive matches that are going to
Right.
take place at WrestleMania. And
Yeah.
we're only a handful of months away with like 2 or 3 more pay-per-views to go past War Games.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if the bad guys are making themselves heard because we need villains for the faces to conquer.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with it. I mean, it I'm never counting it against them if something is, I would much prefer that they are satisfying and telling a good story than just trying to be unpredictable to avoid, like, the internet guessing what's next. I would much prefer if they just deliver what is a satisfying kind of a situation. And so you're going to have to build these rivalries.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm here for whatever they're going to do. The women for WWE haven't looked this good in a long time. So
No, they're
uh,
looking like fire.
yeah. So I'm excited to see what War Games brings for the ladies for sure. Um, and we'll get to the guys in a second. But so basically, that match was a disqualification because Nia Jax intervened, and then after that, everybody else got into it. Um, which leads us essentially to our. I think this is basically the last match of the night. Uh, and I don't really think they called it technically the main event, but I mean that's what it was. It was the Montez Ford versus Tommaso Ciampa.
In a grudge match for all
In
intents
a
and
grudge
purposes. There's
match.
no belts or anything else. This is
Yeah.
Montez Ford wanting to beat his frustrations out on Tommaso Ciampa for wrecking the Street Profits shot against the Motor City gun machines.
Yeah.
And this
Correct.
this I feel like ended up being a very good match though.
It
Like
did,
Montez
yeah.
Ford and Tommaso both were bringing it.
And I want to point out that Ciampa outside, like Tommaso outside of Johnny Gargano, is amazing. Um, I have in the past compared him to Pac because he has the same story. He could have the same sort of ferociousness, the same sort of like ferocity
That the
that
bastard
Pac,
Pack has.
yeah, that the
Yeah.
Pac delivers, and Pac, it can be brutal. Pac is frightening because he's not only is he agile, but he's powerful and he is quick. Um, and I see some of the same makings in Tommaso Ciampa, which is why I was so upset that they put him with Johnny Gargano to begin with. Like if you don't believe in your superstars, man, then let them go. Let them go and let them find somebody who's gonna put some faith in them and let them do what they're gonna do. I don't. There's nothing in me that says Tommaso Ciampa could not be an utter like destroying
Yeah.
beast in the ring. There's nothing that says he
No,
can't be,
he comes
except the
across.
fact that his contract says he can't be.
Yeah,
Honestly,
yeah. No, they've got their thumb on Champa, and I hope this is them letting off
it's
because
killing me.
Tommaso Ciampa, with between his look and his sort of raspy voice, he sort of looks like that unhinged guy in the prison yard that you don't want to mess with. He's not the
Yes, come
biggest guy, but
on.
he definitely looks like he's the most angry and bloodthirsty. He
That's
also looks
right.
like he could be a
Yeah.
berserker, you know?
Yes.
So let
Let him
that Ciampa
cook.
come out. Let the Blackheart show, and I'm here for it
Yes.
because
And they keep referring to that. They keep referencing that back in the day. Yeah, so you guys remember. So let him go. Let my man cook.
no, I'm all for like this is me wish fulfillment here. I
Yeah.
think Tommaso Ciampa could be legend. Like I remember
Yes.
back, I wasn't super familiar with his NXT profile, but I did hear that he was one of their greatest champions, and I'm waiting to see that on the main roster. And the closest we've come is the match he had against Gunter, which was excellent.
Yep.
Um, so we know that this guy can stand at that level. I don't know why you're not using him that way. Like, why
Yeah.
isn't Champa going after LA Knight? You know what I mean? Like, he
Yeah.
needs to break away from Johnny Gargano in this go nowhere with DIY. Like, DIY is just a vortex that interest goes to die. And I think it's largely, I mean, I hate to say it because I feel like I'm picking on these people, but like it's Gargano. Like he is just so vanilla and so boring. Like I just
Yeah.
can't get interested in him, and I don't see that same problem being the case with Champa if they'll let him go. I think the best thing they could have done for Dexter Loomis was what they have done with him, and that's make him part
Yep.
of the Wyatt Six because the whole DIY and the way and all that stuff, it's just not landing on the main roster.
Yeah.
I think it's a real big case of over in NXT, you're dealing with developing talents. So you might have been a standout amongst like a small pond, but
Yep.
you just don't hang with the main roster guys with that crap anymore. Like it's just not working. So I'll be all for it if Champa and Gargano break apart, and that puts Champa back into the pool of just a singles career where he's insane, and
Yeah.
let him be the Blackheart because that's what worked. I don't know. That's
Yep.
another thing, is like you took DIY to try and see if it would work. So for whatever reason, you went with that. But you didn't trust Champa to come over here and be the Blackheart. Instead, he had to be a
No.
sycophant to the Miz, and then he was ridiculous there. And now he's stuck in this garbage with Gargano, and
Yep.
it's like none of this works for him. He's
Yeah.
much better when he's taken as a legitimate, like, scary individual to be dealt with. And so far, I'm here for it. Like the way he's torn up, like he single-handedly beat Pretty Deadly, and
Yep.
then he came out and wrecked shop against the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits. They're making him look like a force to be reckoned with.
If they could just get out of his freaking way. If they could get out of the way of the street profits, man, and just let them cook. Because again, I feel some kind of way about them bringing Motor City for this. And it's got nothing against Motor City. These dudes have come in and they've been putting in the work. They have done their level best. They haven't done anything to make me feel like they aren't worthy of winning a belt, except not be here. Like
Well,
I'm watching guy like it's hard for me to root for you. It's hard for me to go congratulations when I don't know you. Like
yeah, no, that's fair.
I've seen you from another promotion. Cool. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care if it was a year ago. Just the other day, you're wrestling for the other guys, and now you're here taking the top tag team prize.
Well, I think what they're trying to do, this is me being charitable, right? This is me thinking in an ideal world, this is how it goes. I think they bring in the Motor City Machine Guns because one, they wanted the machine guns. I
Mm-hmm.
also think they're waiting for Pinta El Cierro Miedo and Riff Phoenix to be able to come over too.
Mm-hmm.
But if it were me, fantasy booking here, I bring in the Motor City Machine Guns, and I'm going to take it from where WWE has left it. I bring in the machine guns; they're legendary, right? They're like right there next to somebody like the Young Bucks on the indie scene. They're very well known. We just weren't super familiar with them, and so you've got this legendary tag team. They come in. One, I'm thrilled that they got the belts off of like the bloodline, so that my prediction that those belts are tied up into perpetuity now with the bloodline is not true, and I'm grateful for it. I'm so happy that that's the way they've gone. And on top of it, I do think that Ford and Dawkins are fixing to have their comeuppance, but it's going to be against a legendary team. Like they want them to beat like the legends for this belt, so that it's like, wow, not only did you overcome, but you overcame like a legendary team.
Okay. Like okay, and
It-
I'm here with you for that. So who are you saying the legendary team is like the
the Motor City Machine Guns, like again, just because you and I aren't super familiar with them, they are widely known on the independent scene from like their Ring of Honor work and other independent circuit work,
yeah.
Impact stuff like that, and they were guys that stood shoulder to shoulder with like the Young Bucks,
Okay, right.
so they are a legendary tag team.
They are. Like I fully like I am not familiar with them, yes, but I am fully aware that they are a legendary team. I know that they have been together for years. I know that they have done it all, and I know that in the indie circuit, people are huge on them. But I'm talking about your basic WWE fan who's watching wrestling, and then one day this team comes in, and 2 matches later wins the belts. I'm gonna feel some kind of way about it. Now, even though I know everything that we just said, that yes, they're a legendary team. They've been together for. I know all of that, and I know that they just came into WWE, but they aren't brand new. I know all of that too. But still, knowing all that, I still feel some kind of way about it because there were other ways
Yeah.
in my head they could have done this storyline instead of once again having the Street Profits working their asses off and starting basically from a mid card point or like a mid level.
Yeah.
And I just
No,
don't think those dudes are that. I honestly feel they could have done the exact same thing with having the Street Profits take the belts off of the off of God. Uh, Taking the belts off of them, and then Motor City shows up. Hey, we're here. We wanna go for the belts. Blah blah blah. Have a match. You didn't win. Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, they're in it. Penta, El Ceramier, they join in. Like it could have been all of them going for the belts, and the Street Profits
yeah.
should have been that top legendary group that you're talking about. I don't feel need to have another match with freaking Motor City.
No,
I feel like that was a huge diss, and in my head, I feel like that was a huge
no,
diss.
no.
They should be
I
that team.
agree. I see. I agree with all of the frustrations regarding the Street Profits. But if I'm being charitable here, and that they wanted to get this older team, because I don't know how much miles is left on the Motor City Machine Guns, so they brought
Yeah,
them in. And if you're trying to serve multiple masters, you're trying to figure out how to get it all done. And what I mean by that is if you're trying to check off multiple things on the list when you're booking of what you're trying to get done, then I would much prefer that instead of the Street Profits then having to quickly lose to Motor City Machine Gun after finally winning the belts, that they do it the other way around, where Motor City gets the belts pretty quickly off of God. And let's face it, that wasn't a huge achievement. They don't. I mean, we complained mightily about how Tamatonga and Tongaloa have not impressed us.
yeah.
Then I would much rather it be a badass, dedicated, historied tag team that the Profits take to school and win the belts off of than the other way around.
hmm
Because let's face it, I feel like them having Motor City Machine Guns immediately show up and win the belts was just for Motor City to make a big impact and to put a title on those legends. And now if they're, and this is where I'm being charitable because this is what I hope they're doing, because God help them if they're not, then I hope they're setting this up for the Street Profits to topple this legendary team for it to be a massive win and a decently lengthy run where the Profits get to be the champions for a minute. Because
We'll
Motor City
see.
Machine Gun for Impact coming in and winning the belts, I get that, but they don't need to have like this super long run. In fact, I would prefer that we don't have super extendedly long runs on any of the damn belts.
Yeah,
I'm over that. Like, I don't think that makes the belts more valuable. I think, in fact, it just takes them out of booking play and makes them less valuable over time. So it's my hope that they do get a decent run out of it. And I think it would actually play out well that way if that's what they decide to do. I hope that's what they're deciding to do because I agree with you wholeheartedly that the Profits are due for a run with those tag belts. And I
yeah,
mean, when they just did the brand split, it was two teams that are just guys thrown together. You know,
yeah.
it was Theory and Waller, and on the Raw side, it was Truth and Miz. And I'm like, cool, give them an accolade. I'm with you, but you know,
Yeah.
these are throw together teams, much like DIY is too.
Yep.
And I want the throw together teams to get the F out in favor of these dedicated tag teams. Like
Yep.
you know who I also think is getting screwed on top of the Street Profits right now? I think
Pretty
Pretty
deadly.
Deadly is being done pretty
Yeah.
dirty.
Absolutely.
Considering that they were rocking it in NXT and they're an act that people get interested to see when they're out there.
Yeah.
So but I do think they're trying to work on making good on the Street Profits. I just think they haven't quite gotten there yet. But I hope it's because they're building up what will be their big win.
I hope so. Because if not, if they don't eventually get those belts, then man, what are we even doing? What are they doing? Like Private Party, man, they got belts right now, and I've said that before because I compare those two because Private Party is nowhere near as good as the Street Profits. Nowhere near as
Yeah.
seasoned. Nowhere near as technical. They aren't. They
No,
aren't.
and not nearly the pair of athletes either. I mean, Montez Ford is a freak athlete. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh
really.
God, yeah. And just a side note, just addendum. I'm getting real sick and tired of people, not you, but when people go on and on about Montez Ford and then just disregard Angelo Dawkins like he is just like the
No.
third wheel. He is
Yeah.
not. You guys are sleeping. You guys are sleeping on Angelo Dawkins if that's how you feel about it. That big dude can move. He
Yep.
would he he would never be flop
And
dollar. That's all I'm saying. You would
no,
never
and
he would never be called flop dollar. So y'all
yeah,
sleeping on him.
and to give Dawkins the credit he deserves, over the past couple of years, he has dropped a lot of excess weight. He looks like he's
Yep.
fitter than he's ever been. So, from all outward observances, and this is the same for like Imperium, where like Gunter and Ludwig Kaiser dropped all excess weight like it was a bad habit. I mean, they
Yeah.
just dropped it. And not for nothing, that does deserve to be viewed as them putting work in because they know that
Mhm.
they're up here, they're trying to look like action figures, and they're trying to look like they're athletic enough to actually do what they're doing in the ring. Ford and Dawkins have put in that work. I mean, Ford was
Yeah.
already in good shape, but he does seem to be getting even bigger and better. And Angelo has put in a ton of work. So I'm with you. I'm wholeheartedly
Yeah.
with you. Like both of the Street Profits have absolutely put in the work, and they're a good enough team that it's. I think their time needs to come, and sooner rather than later, because they have been backburnered because of the tag belts being tied up for so long with the Usos and the storyline of the Bloodline. And now, once they're free, it's like, come on, man, get these belts on the Profits already.
Yep.
So that I am with you. I absolutely hope that's the direction they're going in. And the fact that the main event of this particular SmackDown is Montez Ford versus Tommaso Ciampa makes me think that WWE is looking at these guys and that they take this
Yeah.
very seriously.
I hope
And
so.
so that's good. And just to focus back on this match between Ford and Tommaso, these guys brought it. I mean,
Mhm.
both looked really, really good, and it was for a good portion of it. It was very back and forth, and there was a lot as we headed towards the middle and the near end of the match, where it's anybody's match, right? Like whoever gets the next really good shot is going to take this. And just to sort of hone in on sort of the actions near the end of the match, there was a part where Tommaso was going for the fairy tale ending, and we were like, "Uh-oh!" But Ford countered it and hits him with a jumping knee strike, and then he follows it up with just a straight roundhouse kick, and it stood out because it's like Ford doesn't usually just roundhouse somebody, but he did, and then he goes for a springboard clothesline, but Ciampa like pump knee strikes him out of the air, and he tries to go again for the fairy tale ending, but Ford manages to roll him up, and he picks up a victory that way. And so this was a really good fight between the two of them, where it came down to who got the snap roll up because it was that even of a match, and I'm here for that because it made Ciampa look good.
Yeah.
It reminds you just how good Montez Ford can be even in a solos match, and afterwards, Ciampa's all very upset as Ciampa is now the avatar of anger and begins to attack Ford from behind. And Ciampa's sitting there giving him the boots, and Angelo Dawkins shows up and just goes off on Ciampa, like really off, or like just beating the life out of him. And Johnny Gargano shows up and he's trying to pull Dawkins off of Ciampa, and Ciampa then tries to jump Dawkins again from behind, and Gargano's now trying to calm Ciampa down, and Ciampa again shoves Gargano into the mat, and the Motor City Machine Guns then make their way out to kind of, I guess, support Johnny Gargano, and that's when Ciampa realizes that maybe he's outnumbered here, and he steps out, but he's walking away from the ring, shouting at Gargano, "Whose team are you on?" So it definitely shows that there's this huge rift at this point between Gargano and Ciampa. I mean, that's twice now. I don't know how forgiving Gargano is, but if your partner attacks you a couple of times, it's, maybe your partnership needs to be brought into question.
What I need to know is why they feel the need to make Johnny Gargano sound like an abused housewife. And And I mean that like exactly like I'm talking about like not like a real deal thing. I'm talking about the cliche cheesy, SUV special victims unit type version of a abused housewife.
Where it's like
Um
he's a good guy just in his own way, kind
yeah,
of.
you guys don't understand him. He gets really excited, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like at the beginning when Motor City's talking to Johnny Gargano about it, and Johnny Gargano is trying to get a rematch because he basically that's what he's essentially trying to do at the beginning is get a rematch with Motor City, him and Champa over them having their next match with the Street Profits. Um, and they're basically pointing out to him that Johnny Gargano, I'm sorry, that Champa is unhinged, and he's like, no, he's just he just really wants to win, And it's like, are you making an excuse for the guy who just tried to push you down some stairs, Carol Ann? And then to make it even funnier, this particular episode, he comes running into the ring trying to pull Dawkins off of Champa just so that Champa can essentially push him down again.
Yeah.
Push him down again and demand his dinner. And Johnny Gargano with the same dumb like surprised look on his face like, "Bro, are you a fighter or not? How many times is somebody gonna get close enough to knock you on your ass before you go, well, you know what? You really need to settle the fuck down." Listen, they could still. Let me tell you, I have had friends before that I'm still friends with that we've gotten into when we were younger and dumber. We got into physical altercations. Because if I push them, they're gonna push me back because that's how that goes. Why Johnny Gargano, for some reason, has decided to take the stance of it's okay, he only hits me because he loves me? I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they decided to give that to him. That's a strange flex. That's all I'm saying. That's weird.
Yeah, it is
That's
a little
weird. I
strange.
would have gotten up and pushed him back. Got up and instead of just the camera zooming in on my dumb Mickey Mouse face, I would have just stood up and been like, "Muff, don't fucking push me, bro. What the fuck?" Like
Yeah.
something. Instead of just sitting there like, "Stop. Ouch, my leg. My knee." I would have
No, no,
done.
he didn't push me. I fell.
Yeah, I would have done so. Like, it's on camera. No, you guys saw my foot slipped. He was trying to help me from falling.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it, like,
It's weird, man.
as to any other person, I would think like Gargano at this point would be like partnership dissolved. But this is the
Seriously.
WWE. And you remember, like, to call back to Alpha Academy and Chad Gable turning to the
Oh,
dark side, how many segments we saw where it's like, oh my God, like Otis needs to bash his brains in finally, or my sympathies are going to shift because it's like, if you want to be a beaten dog, then be a beaten dog. But you clearly want that at this point. So
yeah.
it makes these things
Don't
last
make me
a
watch
hair
it.
too long. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think it might be some of that, but I mean, we won't know until next SmackDown. But I'll be. What should happen will be Gargano saying, "We're done, dude.
Yeah.
You've pushed me twice, and you've been real erratic in your behavior. And I honestly don't feel like there's much of a team here. I mean, just going back
Seriously.
to the last tag match we had, you pretty much fought it all yourself and didn't tag me in. So there's a
Yeah.
lack of trust here." And I'm not coming out there to get pushed by my own tag team partner,
Yep.
and you can take your unhinged ass and go somewhere else, Skippy. That's the
Seriously.
reasonable response that Gargano should have at this point. And of
Yeah.
course, we know they don't talk to each other when they're not on camera because, like, it's like, didn't y'all talk about this? No, they never do.
No, they don't talk
Until
about it
they
until the
until
next
they
show.
have, unless in the kayfabe they're like, well, I talked to him over the week, But usually it's like they don't have the next part of the necessary conversation until they're in front of a camera. So, I'm sure we'll catch it that route. But we should, at this point, after being shoved to the ground twice, like Gargano should definitely be at the like DIY is DIY done.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
over.
dead, bro.
You want to do it yourself, then do it your absolute self, because I'm out. You
Yeah.
crazy bastard.
Seriously. I would have burned out. I wouldn't just be sitting on the mat going,
Yeah. So
Nani?
we'll see. We'll see if WWE just tries to drag this out and drag it out, or if we're going to be at that point where it's like, there's nothing to talk about. The team I'm on is my team because you left a while ago. You're
Yeah.
attacking me. You're attacking everybody. You're unhinged. I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
super good.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But
You're not gonna be pushing me. You're not gonna be pushing me one too many times. Like that's no.
yeah,
We're done.
you pushed me once, pushed me twice. Now I'm the dumbass. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna make you the dumbass. You can fuck off.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll hope that they're at that point, but who
Yeah.
knows? Sometimes WWE thinks that since you've slipped since you last watched the product, you need it replayed for you.
Yeah. You don't remember what happened 5 minutes ago. Let me just show
No.
you what happened here. This was
So
just a moment ago. Like, thank you,
yeah,
Michael. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for the recap of 2 seconds ago.
And they
Um,
even say moments ago. Okay. Yep. I know. Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah.
but moving on from there, we come to the final segment of the night where Solo has made his way back out to the ring with the new Bloodline and Big Bronson Reed.
Mhm.
And then out comes the OTC. And the funny thing is Solo could stand there all night trying to get Salt Lake City to acknowledge him. If Roman so much as breathed towards the mic, Salt Lake City, they would be like, "We acknowledge you, my tribal chief," immediately.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't even have to
Seriously.
blink.
Yeah.
But he gets the mic once everybody's in the ring, and he says, "Roman, I'm not here to fight you. As a matter of fact, I still love you. I love all of you. I always have. I've never stopped loving you, but I want you to understand something. If the four of you join my bloodline, we can run this company for decades. Because look, you don't have a fifth man, you don't have a wise man, you don't have a choice. So surrender and join my team, or the four of you die where you stand." And then we sort of have a standoff, and I think Solo is dangling the mic in front of Roman, and it looks like Roman's about to take it, but before Roman can say anything, we hear, "Ladies and
Ladies
gentlemen,
and gentlemen.
my name is Paul Heyman," and the crowd just loses it. I think you commented that you haven't seen such a huge pop for someone who's not
Yeah,
actually a wrestler.
the crowd lost its entire shit. He got ladies and gentlemen off, and then everybody "Wah!" like the camera could cut to anybody in the audience, and it was just them screaming with their eyes rolled in the back of their
Screaming.
heads, pulling their hair. Like they just all immediately lost it. He comes out looking
Yep.
a bit disheveled, I will point out. Maybe he's had a rough couple of months, but he comes out and he says, my name is Paul Heyman, and now forgive me, but sometimes I've been put through a table in Madison Square Garden, so maybe my math is a little off. But there's no way to do War Games 4 versus 5. That math does not commute to your wise man. No. So it's not going to be 4 versus 5. It's going to be 5 versus 5. And then
Yep.
CM Punk's music cuts on. I know you guys already listen. I know you guys know. But listen, CM Punk's music cuts on and people are like, "Wah!" And the Salt Lake City has lost its shit. Now, CM Punk is not my guy. Not now, not ever, probably. Most likely, he's not my guy. But
Yeah.
I will say this was a smart move for
This was.
WWE. And I will
Yep.
also say that no matter what I think about CM Punk, no matter how much I think just personally, I would not like that dude. I will say that he has still been a better investment to WWE than Mercedes Moné has seemed to be for AEW. I said it. I don't even care. Mic drop. Fight me. I don't care. Prove me wrong. But that's how I feel about it. So CM Punk comes out. The music's going. People are foaming at the mouth. The people are shitting kittens. Several children exploded into confetti. It was insane. insane. But he's walking, and he's fiddling with the tape on his hands, and then he slides into the ring, and then it's just all out brawl. I think CM Punk went after Bronson Reed. That's pretty ballsy of you. That's all I'm gonna say there. Super punches are everywhere. Super kicks. Legs are flying in the air. Arms and elbows are being swung down. Like, it is madness.
Yeah, I think
And
actually Punk got tied up with Tama Tonga.
he did, yeah, he did. But when he initially went into the ring, he went after Bronson Reed. Now he ended up with Tonga, but and that's I'll talk about that in a second because they had to get Big Bronson Reed out of the ring, and they did so by clotheslining him. Sami Zayn and CM Punk clotheslined him out of the ring after he received the super kicks from the Usos and I think the Superman punch from Roman, and then he goes flying out the ring, and then Sammy, Jimmy, and Jay dove out of the ring to the men outside, the heels outside of the ring, leaving Roman and CM Punk in the ring, and the two that tag team were left, and that's how CM Punk ended up with uh Tonga or whatever his name that dude. Um, the the Cookie Monster. That's what he sounds like to me. Or animal. Animal. He
Yeah,
sounds like an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
But yeah, it ended up being a pretty nice brawl to end that segment. And
Sorry, to end that.
Mhm.
So CM Punk gave Animal the GTS, and and Roman gave the other one, Botchman. He gave him
Bill
what did he?
Botchman?
Yeah, did he give him the Superman or the spear? Superman, right? Superman punch.
Nah, he speared the boots
speared?
off of Tongaloa. Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was a spot where both Punk and Roman hit their finishers against the new bloodline.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. And it left those two in the ring. And they ended with CM Punk's music. And and the audience is still losing their shit. There's a really nice scene there where Paul Heyman is on the ropes there on the outside, and kind of basically in between,
Smirking like a Cheshire
like
cat.
just happy, like he just found the biggest block of cheese. And he's basically he's shot in between his two top guys, Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Now listen, if I were a manager, that'd be a huge flex for me too. Love him or hate him, because people are kind of the same way about Roman too. They either really love Roman or they really hate Roman. And if you either really love CM Punk or you really hate CM Punk. But if I were a manager and both of these dudes were like under my name, oh, that I'd flex. I'd flex like you couldn't stop me from flexing. What could you possibly say? I'm making money left and right. What could you possibly say? I mean, honestly. So he's just standing there happy as all get out. And Roman and CM Punk are conversing, and I could see Roman asking him, "What are you doing here?" Stuff like that, and CM Punk basically saying that he came here for Paul, like he's here because Paul asked him to be here, and basically he's gonna do anything for Paul. And Paul is just like, "Yeah, flex, flex, flex." And that's pretty much it. That's how they they closed that the live. That's how they closed the airing.
Yeah, Reigns and
that
Punk
particular
staring at
episode.
each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically conversing, and Roman not upset but just confused, like, what's happening? How you? What are you? How? When? What? Paul? Huh? So
Yep. But we do know, because of the power of the internet, that there was a little more to that segment that went on. Not a lot, but a little. And that
not a
was
lot. Yeah.
that the bloodline, Roman walks towards the static camera and puts his ones up, and all the rest of the bloodline put their ones up. And then when CM Punk adopts a posture, instead of putting a one up, he does his go to sleep taunt.
Which is
So it's
fine
like
because he's not, he's not a bloodline member.
he's not he's not a bloodline member. So he's making it clear that Punk is still his own thing. He's not there to be part of Reigns' bloodline or anything else. But like you said, probably doing a favor for Paul Heyman.
Yeah. Now, I will just say, and I don't want to hang out in this little area for too long, because I kind of have to defend CM Punk in doing so, and that will make me nauseous, and eventually I'll pass out if I continue to do it. I'll go through cyber psychosis if I continue.
No, not that. That's how we all die.
to
Don't
talk
do it.
good things about CM Punk, but I will say this: there has been a bit of a tiny backlash between CM Punk doing his go to sleep instead of putting the one up. To which I reply, shut the absolute fuck up. What's the deal? So what? CM Punk, listen, if you're upset that guy is that guy, I don't know what to fucking tell you. CM Punk is not a part of the bloodline. CM Punk is, the dude that we're talking about, okay? Why would he want to adopt the posture of a whole clique that he ain't even with?
Yeah.
Like, he's got his own thing. Go to sleep. That's what he's gonna do. What is your deal, man?
Is there actually backlash?
Yes! Yes,
Seriously?
a few people were upset because he did his go to sleep instead of putting the one up. He's not a bloodline member, my dude.
Yeah, I think that's very clear signaling that, like, this is a temporary alliance at best.
And that was the point. That's why they did it. If he put his one up, that might confuse a whole hell of a lot of people. What, is he a bloodline member now?
Yeah,
he
isn't.
Do you see Bronson Reed putting do you see him putting his one up whenever they're doing it? No. He's not a bloodline member. But you guys, nobody bitched about that. Nobody's saying anything about him not doing it. But because it's CM Punk, it's whenever we go too far in one direction that starts to get on my freaking nerves. You don't like him, you don't like him. But everything he does isn't a damning action. Everything he does isn't, like, when he says you guys are just cutting checks with my name, I see what he means now. Because my man did nothing but his fucking move. That's his. Go to sleep. That's his. And you give him shit for that. And if he had done the one, you would have given him shit for that. You would have said, oh, you ain't no bloodline member. You ain't this. There he goes trying to become the star. If they had ended the show with the bloodline music and not his, then people would have said, oh, I guess he's just being consumed into this bloodline BS. But because he ended it with his song, oh, I guess he doesn't want to be a team player. What do you guys want from this dude? Like, he can't win for losing in this case.
Yeah, I think that's an unreasonable gripe myself. Because I think the whole segment and the whole lead up to that point, you see Reigns and Punk talking, and you don't have to be a perfect lip reader, but between lip reading and the mic'd ring, you can kind of hear what's going on.
Yeah.
Reigns asked him, why are you here? Says he's basically here to save your ass because Heyman asked him to. He's made it clear that he's got no great love for Roman or the bloodline, but this is a favor. And so it's actually in line with that whole message. Like, there's no inconsistency there that he puts up go to sleep because he's not throwing the ones up because he ain't a member of the bloodline. I've complained in the past that Punk, like, when he cuts a promo, will say one thing and then completely oppose that thing he just said. This is consistent. I ain't complaining.
Yeah. He consistently did what he would do, and yet the dude is still getting some sort of flack. Now, I'm not saying that he's a freaking angel, but we're not talking about those times, are we? We're talking about a particular instance where at the time where it was time for everybody to do their little symbol for their group. Everybody who was in the group did their thing, and he chose to do his. That's all we're talking about. And still, if you look online, you'll get apparently there was some sort of backstage heat because of it. CM Punk and Roman Reigns don't really like each other, that kind of bullshit. And honestly, I think that it's just clickbait. I think it's the second CM Punk name the second his name came up, people were ready to just beat off to some stupid shit. And
Yeah.
here we are. And I have to say, like, again, I have to stop real soon because I'm starting to see double vision and I'm in a desert right now and I might just start shooting people. But I'm kidding. I'm not going to shoot anybody, guys. But honestly,
Well, help me.
honestly, it's getting to the point now where I'm starting to see tunnel vision. But guys, whatever I really don't know what people want from CM Punk, man. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And I'm saying that again, not as a fan of his. I'm not a fan of his at all, but I'm also not a fan of people just being shitty for the sake of being shitty. You are basically you're basically pigeonholing this guy. You're painting him into a corner, and whatever he does, you have a rebuttal for why it sucks. In which case,
Yeah.
yeah, I say keep talking shit about him so he can cut them checks. If that's all you got, if all you have is to talk shit about CM Punk for your little check, then I guess go ahead, do what you're gonna do.
Yeah,
But it's
haters
not a
gonna
good
hate.
look. It's not a good look. I'm serious. You're not looking good right now with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna be the person just because I don't like a wrestler to jump on your dumb bandwagon with your dumb fucking hate and shit just to do so. Just because I don't like the person, I can't do it. That dude didn't do anything wrong in this particular segment. I don't know about any backstage heat, to be perfectly honest. I don't care about any backstage heat. I'm talking about what they're gonna do in the ring. You guys gonna give us a hell of a match? Then let's go. And if
Yeah.
you got a problem with CM Punk, cool. Shut the fuck up about it, though. Keep it to yourself. Again, I'm not a fan, but I don't feel like I have to find every single thing that dude does and go, oh, but then he did this. Oh, but then he's shitty here. And he, really, if you ain't got nothing else to do with your life, like the world is falling apart right now, dude. Seriously, like go do something else. I gotta fucking pull a burial and tell y'all to go touch some grass.
Touch grass.
Like, seriously, because if that's what you took away from that, when everybody else was like hyped about it, if you're really that big mad about it, then don't watch the fucking show. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
Don't just find out what happened. Look online, but shut up.
Yeah, just to throw my 2 cents in on it, I'm not a big Punk fan. I look at how things went. Back in the day, he was blacklisted from WWE probably for a reason. I watched his run in AEW, and that was abysmal. He struck first against Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, all that stuff. All that stuff I legitimately don't like Punk for. But this is stupid.
Yeah, this is stupid.
This is
man.
a dumb thing to be mad at because it's right in line with what's being told to you by the kayfabe. Like, it wasn't Punk going into business for himself or any of that kind of crap. Similarly, this was also, despite my reservations about Punk, putting that aside, this was a real smart move from WWE because
Yep, I think
one,
so.
it would have looked wiffle waffly if Seth Rollins had just decided to join because Bronson Reed is there and put aside, his history and disposal of Roman Reigns. This made more sense. Punk hasn't been back long enough to really hate the bloodline or have an issue and be willing to do it if Paul Heyman asked. This was perfect.
Yeah.
It makes more sense than any other Heyman guy too. Like if they wanted to surprise us with a return of Brock Lesnar because legal finally approved it, it would have made even less sense because Brock Lesnar hates Roman Reigns probably the most.
Yep.
So this was a path that made a lot of sense for a lot of storylines, and I think it was the right call to make because after that long diatribe that Seth said about like no way, no how is this happening, just by sticking Bronson Reed on the other end of it would have made Seth look like he didn't have much integrity.
Yeah.
So I think this was the right call. It also sets the stage for some surprises that could happen. I mean, Big Bronson Reed and CM Punk could, and this is just spitballing, crap shooting. I'm making guesses here. Like I've read nothing for this. I don't know if this is what they're even thinking, but in my fantasy booking brain, you have an option where during War Games, when the guys are coming to the ring, there's a possibility Big Bronson Reed doesn't make it because Seth Rollins shows up and beats the life out of him before he ever makes it into the ring. And it's a no DQ match, right? So you totally could beat the ever-loving snot out of Big Bronson Reed before he even gets in the match. Similarly, We could see a return of Drew McIntyre at the right time to just absolutely obliterate CM Punk. So you end up with it just being a 4-on-4 bloodline for the most part because the other two members get obliterated by their rivals.
Yeah,
So that's one possibility. I don't know if that's how they'll go with it, but it definitely opens those doors.
that'd be crazy.
Yeah, and it would be really insane. And then you really do just have a legitimate bloodline civil war because all of the extra members that aren't in fact members of the bloodline got taken out by, their own problems. I mean, hell,
Yeah,
for all I know, Braun Strowman could show up and be like monster versus monster right now, bitch. Or
true,
maybe
true.
Braun and Seth decide that they're gonna team up and take him. I mean, there's so many opportunities for a surprise kind of a thing that we didn't see coming. I mean, probably most people aren't thinking along those lines. They're thinking of the match straightforwardly.
Yeah,
But I could see some options there for an intrusion by a non-bloodline related party that has an issue with CM Punk or an issue with Big Bronson Reed.
yeah.
So those options are all still on the table. So we'll see how it goes, but I agree with you, despite my reservations about CM Punk, that this was probably the smartest thing to do. It was good for the storylines. It preserved certain character arcs that have been in play without just deciding like, well, I guess it's convenient to just make Seth decide that this means more to him. Because people
Yeah.
were already giving the women some grief about that. Like, we see Bianca Belair having an issue with Bayley, but why hasn't she got the same issue with Io Sky?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I asked the same thing because I'm like, are they cool now? Or oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I appreciate them trying to avoid those kind of easy outs and thinking that the wrestling community, since the story was told like a month ago, we've forgotten. They're trying to
yeah,
maintain some consistency here, and I'm not going to fault them for that. And I don't think
yeah.
Punk was inconsistent here at all. In fact, he was one of the
No,
more consistent times I've seen CM Punk.
no. And honestly, it's a nothing sandwich that people are trying to come up with because they just don't like CM Punk. And I hate to be the person to freaking say that. But if you don't like him, then okay, don't like him. But there's really no need to try to come up with reasons why other people should dislike him, or
Yeah,
other reasons
or
why other people should hate him. You don't like him, that's you, bro. Leave
yeah, and
everybody else
putting
alone.
it's dishonest to put things on people that they haven't actually earned. So I'm never for that. Like it's like
Yeah,
he didn't run over like 5 kittens on the way to the ring. Why are you suggesting that?
yeah.
So
He's like just like back up,
yeah,
back
I
up.
don't. It's the internet though. Haters gonna hate for whatever reason they wish to.
You
But
ain't wrong.
I think it was a smart move. That said, what would your review of this episode of SmackDown be?
I'd give this review of SmackDown at least an 8. Well, the review I'd give a 10 because we're awesome, but the show I would give I'd give about at least an 8. I thought it was pretty entertaining. The pop for Paul Heyman made my life. If you're ever feeling down, if you're ever feeling sad, just play just that segment. Just play the ladies and gentlemen part, and then let the audience lose their shit for like 30 seconds to 45 seconds. It's a nice pick me up because I it's a well deserving pop, I think, for a man who will be sorely missed once he retires, or whatever the case. So that was great. Um, I thought they used their time smart. I think bringing CM Punk uh into this match for War Games was also smart. Um, just Yeah, it was a really fun match, and I think the weakest match is probably the one between Bailey and Naomi and Tiffany and Candice, and that's just because it kind of was an unnecessary, like it was a means to an end. I should say that match. So maybe that was the weakest one, but everything else was pretty good. The promo that Cody and Kevin cut was good. It was entertaining. Cody sounded good, and Cody's been sounding a lot better when he gets on the mic to cut his promos. Sometimes he just kind of rambles, and he kind of sounds like a guy that I would hear
Yeah.
If I'm at the bus and he sits down next to me and just starts talking, he reminds me of one of those dudes sometimes. Um, but he's doing. I think he's doing better. And Kevin sounded a lot better. It wasn't that lackluster. I'm gonna talk sadly from my car type of energy. So that was good. So yeah, all in all, I would give this at least an 8. It was definitely a top tier. It was fun, and it's got me what like I'm ready for war games.
Yeah. I can dig that. All right. So 8 neck nubs.
8 neck nubs.
Well, I think for me, I'm probably going to give this an 8.5.
Mhm.
Um, because this was a very story driven episode.
Yeah.
Like I would probably give it a 9, save for the fact that nothing happened in terms of like the work rate or the in-ring itself that really blew my mind. I mean, there were two pretty good matches. Montez Ford and Ciampa was a good match, and LA Knight Escobar was a good match.
Yeah.
But there wasn't anything in ring that blew my wig back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they were good. And then there was the one match that was Bailey and Naomi versus Stratton and LeRae, where it almost wasn't, it was almost like a non-match. Like it really felt like it was exclusively in the service for the women's war games build-up. Like it was more part of a promo than an actual match.
Yeah.
So for story, this was great. Like as far as build up, and there was a lot of long promos, and just about every match served the story that it was trying to tell. Like we're building the rivalry between LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura. Like we the women's war games match, obviously. And we had Chelsea Green making headway towards that US title, and the whole storyline, which also relates to war games involving Jade being put into a car hood with prejudice. Um, so almost more story than match was being served here, and that's okay. That I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's terrible. Although I do watch wrestling because I have an appreciation for what goes on in that ring, not just for the stories being told. I think both elements are important,
Yeah.
but when one is sacrificed too much for the other, I think you start to have a disparity. And that's my only slight gripe, is that most of the in-ring was more for the service of story. But heading into a pay-per-view, I can kind of give that a pass. So we went down from a 9 to an 8.5, but everything else was spectacular. The ongoing story with Jade Cargill, fantastic. You know, being taken out and who done it. You know, we got a little mystery there. I was well pleased to see Chelsea Green getting closer to that U.S. title, because out of the 3 women that were in that match, she would be the one that I would have wanted to win. So I'm glad she did.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then, of course, the huge bloodline segments, and not for nothing. To kind of piggyback on what you were saying about Cody Rhodes, you're right. He can be long-winded AF. Like it's
Yeah.
like, dude, whatever point you're getting to, can you make it a little faster? You're cutting into Tiffy time now. But for as much as he had to try to convey, I think him and Kevin Owens did a really good job of sort of making their positions clear. You know, which is something that I've complained about. Like, you know, what are you so mad about, bro? And so now it's obvious that he felt very betrayed, that Kevin Owens felt very betrayed that Cody Rhodes teamed up with Roman Reigns, and he's butthurt about it. But then I like the fact that Cody's like, bullshit. You know, you can say that, but it's really just all about you. It's been about you, and you need to quit self-sabotaging. And now you've gone too far, and I'm going to beat you back in line, is basically what Cody said. And if
Yeah.
you're going to make it, essentially, if you're going to say it's my fault that you injured Randy Orton, then I'm going to injure you. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Like, you're building some heat here, and it's the most excited I've been, to be quite honest, about anything Cody Rhodes has been doing lately. So I see that as a good thing. Instead of being like interest down, it's interest up, and it's good. I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'll give it a solid 8.5 neck nubs, which, as you know, makes it top tier. So highly recommend. Good episode, and it did exactly what you mentioned just a few moments ago. It's built hype for war games. I'm excited to see war games like this. I don't know if I can exclusively put it on the shoulders of this one episode of SmackDown, but this is a good example of doing it correctly. Because in our upcoming podcast about Full Gear, you and I felt very much the opposite of what we're feeling going into War Games right now. Like WWE has done a good job of making us excited for the events that will transpire at War Games. Going into Full Gear, we had very low expectations about any of it because we felt like the Dynamite or so before they had poured ice water on a few of them. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know, some of the others we didn't even know, like we were like, who's on the card again? Like, so some of them weren't built up that much. That said, without giving too much away, what happened in the ring at War Games and the events of War Games make it very well worth watching. And we'll get into
Yeah.
that more in our next podcast episode. But for now, this has been our review of WWE SmackDown from 11/22, and it was good. It was top tier, guys. I just want to say thanks to everyone who has joined us for this episode, and I hope you will join us for our next. Until then, I don't think there's much left for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.